Welcome to our rappers tier list. This is the second one that we do on the channel. You guys absolutely love the first one, so we had to run it back. This time we have 40 different rappers, new rappers, and we're going to be ranking them from bad to perfect based on our scale. And we brought in some of the best and worst rappers that hip-hop has ever had within the genre. But before we actually get started, make sure to smash that subscribe button for more tier lists and more hip-hop content. And if you guys are already subscribed, make sure to hit that notification bell so you never miss another video.
Yes, sir.
But let's get into this, bro. I'm excited to do this video.
Listen, the last time we did this was like what?
2 years ago.
2021? I think it was.
21 or 22, yeah.
More or less. I think it was really at the beginning of the channel when we were starting to upload. And I remember one of the top comments on that video was, make a part 2 of this, right? Because there's so many different rappers we could go through. So as Lou said, we're going to be going through 40 of them. And the first rapper for today is going to be G.I.D, right? And when looking at G.I.D, it's interesting because obviously his career has been going on. Obviously, I don't think you could consider him a new rapper anymore, or that, you know, he's a freshman maybe like in 2019. No, he's definitely cemented himself in hip-hop right now. He's one of the most exciting acts that the genre has ever seen, especially for this new decade. When you look at the quality of the catalog, when you look at his skill set, honestly, man, I can't go anywhere else besides amazing, if I'm being honest with you. I think he's an amazing rapper.
I think that Jid has mastered the ability of flow. I think that when you look at all rappers of all time, he's one of the best rappers when it comes to that ability itself. I think that he is missing a classic album. I don't think that there's an album that's really impacted hip-hop in a massive way just yet.
Do you think the Forever Story hits that classic
It might end up, it might end up doing it. I mean, I don't think so the way it's headed. I just don't feel like it had that mass appeal, even though I think the album is near flawless. But all that to say, he's a rapper who keeps enhancing his craft. I love that he's growing with his singing on Cody Blue. And like I said, man, you listen to this guy's flow on songs like Hasta Luego, and he's second to none when it comes to that and to his pen. So and amazing rating.
Yeah, absolutely. Even stuff like System M, the writing is just absolutely incredible.
For sure.
Let's keep going on with this. Jack Harlow, right? So what's interesting is that Jack Harlow, I feel like, really popped off in 2020 with What's Poppin'. And before that, obviously, you had projects like Confetti and Co. that were really starting to make noise in the underground. You know, he signed to DJ Drama, and obviously, you know, we know the rest, right?
Yeah.
First Class, Come Home, The Kids Miss You, whatever the case may be. Let me ask you something. If we did this tier list right after Come Home, The Kids Miss You, would it be a different response now that you got something like Jack, man? Is that something that you were considering? Because that was my situation, right? I look like a song, like example, like a Denver, for example. That's great execution on pen. Or even something like, let's say That's What They All Say. I actually enjoyed that album and I go back to it. So it's not to say that he has a stellar catalog. If anything, that it's definitely lacking in certain areas. But I think that people don't necessarily give him the credit he deserves in certain areas.
Well, he's not a rapper for the hip-hop heads, right? Like, we kind of know what his goal is with this. I think that he's trying to, you know, climb his way to the top, and he's doing it by making trendy music and by having this pop rap approach. But ultimately, when you look at what he's given us up to this point, I think he's a good rapper. I think he's a proven hit maker. I think that he has a winning personality, and he's not a top tier MC like an Eminem or can't craft an album like he's Jay-Z, but I think he has a bright future for what he's trying to accomplish.
And it's going to take some time and fine tuning, right? He's really... It's only been this decade since he's really been going with it. So, I mean, it's going to take some time.
Jackman was a step in the right direction for him.
Absolutely.
I think good rapper is the way we can go with it.
Absolutely. I think he's a good rapper. But okay, how about Dr. Dre? Because this is another interesting scenario, because I don't want to talk about Dr. Dre, the artist. If it was production and this was a producer tier list, he'd be number 1 on my top 10.
We got to talk about Andre Young, the MC. Like, really honing in on that only.
Okay, let me ask you something, all right? So since that, we all know that, like, all of his lyrics were always written from him, either if it was from, let's say, Exhibit, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Jay-Z, you name it. He had the best writers at his disposal. That obviously, I think, knocks down some points. And he's been very honest about that. He's even said himself that he doesn't appreciate himself as an MC. So where does this go? You know, like, where does this go? Where you want to go with this?
It's interesting because, like, Dr. Dre is simply a voice because of the reasons you said. He's always had certain rappers, you know, taking care of... He's had whole teams, actually. I remember there was a story that Drake was part of, like, a writing team for Dr. Dre back in the 2000s.
And it's always immaculate, absolutely. And he's spoken openly about this on several different occasions.
And that's because I don't even think he values himself as much as an MC, because when you look at it, when you go back to the Chronic, the DOC came out and said that he didn't even want to rap on that album, that he had to convince Dre to rap on that album.
Because he has a really good cadence, and I feel like his mic presence...
Delivery, great.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, okay?
I think I want to... And the thing is, too, is that it's like he's got 2 of the best rap albums in history. You know what I mean?
That's why even his feature game was always strong. He never really dropped bad verses.
Though.
Honestly, I could go great with Dre. I think for what it is. I know a lot of his lyrics are written for him, but when it comes to everything else, like cadence, you know, the passion and the presence, even him on certain skits, for example, like on a Bar 1 skit, like he has that demeanor to him. You get what I'm trying to say? Like he always elevates a track. It's not like Dr. Dre produced a Still Dre or the next episode and he wasn't a part of
I
that.
feel like he's always been a mirror. I feel like he's always like emulated the style of the rapper that he's rapping alongside with on a track.
But you see, like, I disagree with you to a certain extent because you'll see performances with Hitman, for example, on 2001, and then you'll see performances with, let's say, Exhibit or Eminem, and not that they're mirrored, but, you know, it's Dr. Dre. It's like he has his own cadence, he has his own flavor.
Even listening to, like, The Watcher, like, you could tell, like, this is Eminem. This is Eminem through and through. But ultimately, I was stuck between good or great. If you want to go great, I mean...
I think so. He was a great rapper, though.
I'm cool with that. I mean...
Like, he has a sick flow, he has a sick cadence. People could argue with me all they fucking
He's
want.
a voice, though. Ultimately, he's
Absolutely.
a voice. But all right, we can go with great if you want to go great. Next up, Ken Carson. And when it comes to Ken Carson, of course, he is signed to Playboi Carti's Opium label. He's become one of the faces of the new generation, especially when you think about rage rap. I think that he has shown some growth, especially with the last album, A Great Chaos. But, you know, he's definitely the offspring of Cardi. You know, he definitely is super influenced by Cardi, and I feel like he does need to have some work done on
But he's still young.
His rhythmic timing, on his auto-tune, on his track presence, on his lyrics, on carving out his own identity as an artist. Like, I still feel like there's so much room for improvement.
But you see his full his full powers on display. An example, something like a Jennifer's Body, for example, where, like, you know, he's starting to really find his own sound, and he's finding a whole different way to be able to craft it. Honestly,
it's definitely mid. We can't go higher than that.
I was between mid and good. But if you want to go mid with
we're gonna go mid.
But
I don't think he's Jack Harlow level. I don't think he's Jack Harlow level as a rapper.
Rapping.
No.
Like pure pen, no. I think
not just pure pen, just like presence, everything considered, projects up to this point. I don't think we could put him on that good echelon.
You think so?
Listen to his older projects like X, like
pretty solid.
Not up to par. No, it's not.
It's pretty solid. It's not that bad.
Awful.
Anyways, Ken Carson in mid. Let's keep going.
All right, next up, Chance the Rapper, and he went from being one of the most likable and exciting talents in hip hop, and now he's sort of become the butt of a lot of jokes. And it's just crazy to see the arc that he's had because, yes, we can't deny that his debut album was a stinker, but we can make that erase an entire career.
I was just going back to one album. Yeah, absolutely. I was going back to Acid Rap the other day, and it's just such a spectacular project. Even, like, what's so cool about Chance the Rapper is how artistically gifted he is, especially as a vocalist. I feel like that's a really underrated part of his arsenal. You know, there's so many different performances, like example, like Cocoa Butter Kisses is something that I could think about off the top of my head, where he's extending his vocals and, you know, the melodies that he's putting into his raps. It's so well done, and his ear for production has always been fantastic as well. He's an album artist. He's had consistency, but The Big Day was a big flop, and I think that it definitely put him back, but it didn't put a hold on what he was able to do now, maybe with Starline Gallery. So I think that even looking at the singles you got back in 2022 and looking at his skill set overall, I could go great with Chance the Rapper.
I just love what he represents for hip hop. He's a good rapper. He's a beacon for optimism, and I feel like he really is a symbol for like independent hip hop as well. And what he's been able to do, more or less as an independent artist throughout his career, has been pretty fucking impressive to witness.
It has been, absolutely.
It has been. And like, again, that flip from psychedelic hip-hop and acid rap to him going into all-out gospel-infused hip-hop and bringing that to the mainstream. He's accomplished a lot. He deserves his flowers. I had great as
well.
Rapper.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going on with this. Wiz Khalifa. So one of the most iconic mixtape artists of all time.
This is where we're going to disagree for
sure. Well, you don't have him in mid, do you?
No.
I have him in good.
Oh, you have him in good too. Okay, I thought you had him for sure in the great tier.
No, I think overall you've seen it over the past couple of years that the catalog got absolutely diluted. I feel like Wiz Khalifa's good at his thing. You get what I'm trying to say?
In his lane.
But once he gets out of stoner and frat rap, and you know, once it's like even the way that he extends his melodies sometimes, or even on his newer, like, what was it called, Multiverse album?
Yeah.
There was certain like singing and vocal performance where I'm like, this is just really not it. But you can't deny the greatness of a Rolling Papers. You can't deny the greatness of something like example. It's just that I'm looking at this now and it's like, it hurts me to put him on the same level as Jack Harlow.
It does, because he has great projects. Rolling Papers, Cushion OJ, fucking Taylor Alderdice. Like, Wiz Khalifa from 2010 to 2012 was unstoppable. But the problem is that he peaked early, and I feel like he never really knew how to evolve his sound or how to make it engaging for album after album. I think that, yeah, like you said, he only has that one lane where it's like, if you're not giving me those laid back flows for your stoner raps, then you're not giving me party anthems, then what do you have to offer?
Example, there are triumphant performances, for example, like a Universal Studios, for example, or maybe even
How rare
I would
are
say
those?
the Statement. Yeah, but they are rare. But you'll find them more on Tyler Alderdice. I feel like that's probably where you'll
Here and
find
there,
them
yeah.
more. But regardless, though, I do agree with you is that it's limited when it comes to Wiz Khalifa's arsenal. So I think good is a good rating for him. But let's go on to Joey Badass. Listen, I think when you look at Joey's career, he's such an amazing MC, dude. Like, to be able to be at a top level like he's been at for the time that he's been doing it at, it's a completely different level of artistry. And I think that, especially when you look at New York pedigree, not only the ability to carry that over from the 90s, but to do that in the modern 2010s decade is challenging itself. I don't think he has even a good project. I think everything is great.
He's never missed.
He's never
literally
missed on
never
anything.
Missed.
Maybe
he takes his time, but he always delivers.
Absolutely. And like, he really focuses on his artistry. And not only that, but he's a proven hit maker. He wrote Rockstar. If he wanted to, I know Joey would be able to go into any fucking lane he wanted to, especially writing wise, but he doesn't have to. He always stayed true and dedicated to his passion. He always stayed true and dedicated to the pro era movement on the East Coast. I went amazing with Joey.
I think super talented, especially when you look at just him being able to engineer these complex rhyme schemes on a song like Ring the Alarm, or the fucking double entendres that he would have on a song like Sit and Pray, talking about the Oprah wins and the wordplay there.
Even the streams of consciousness on something like a Third Eye shit, for example.
Absolutely.
There's so much that goes into Joey Badass's arsenal and the way that he's able to carry himself as an artist, and I feel like it's so underrated.
From conscious rap to the Third Eye woke shit to luxury hip hop on a song like 500 Bends, he's really touched so many different fronts, and the catalog speaks for itself, man.
It does.
It really does. Amazing
Absolutely.
for Joey Badass. Next up, though, Lil Durk. So when it comes to Durk, obviously one of the most popular artists in the game right now. I think that he was definitely influential when it came to the Chicago drill scene, even though he only really popped off in the last couple of years, really. Like, it was really...
He popped off, and then after that, he had a serious decline.
Well, he was a freshman, but like he never really took off after
never
that.
really took it to that level. And then obviously once he started getting around 2017, 2018, 2019, he started to make more and more waves. My problem with Durk is that when he wants to, he's unstoppable. He's like a fucking pit bull. You know, example, like, look like a no auto Durk. You know, it's literally a term for Durk where like when he gets into that bag, it's over. You're not going to find him anywhere else. But when it comes to certain instances, like example, like an Almost Healed, for example, bro, that shit has zero guidance throughout the track list. There is legitimately zero topical focus except for maybe 4 songs.
And it was supposed to have that topical focus. Like, he set it up to have a whole theme, and it didn't have it. But like, speaking of the catalog, even looking at Signs to the Streets 3 or 7220, some of his most celebrated projects, there's not much going on.
Like, they're solid projects, don't get me wrong.
Okay,
Even something like A Voice of the Heroes, like it's cool content matter, but I always felt like...
Is it cool content matter? Like spinning the block and, you know, being in the trenches, like at a certain point it gets stale from Durk.
Yes, I agree with you that his content matter does get stagnant at certain points, but you do find those glimpses within the catalog where he does get more personal. So
I have him as a mid rapper.
I have him as mid as well.
Without a doubt.
All right, let's keep going on with this. Pusha T.
So yeah, similar to Lil Durk, I want to say that he does have this small bubble in which he operates in when it comes to the subject matter, but that being said, yes, he's always rapping about, you know, the coke talk, but he throws in metaphors and similes that make it engaging at every single turn, and that's why I can't knock him for having a fixed sort of like list and recipe for what he'll go into on a track. I can't knock him because he always makes it interesting.
I also think when you look at Pusha T, and I've had this concern maybe for the next album, am I going to get tired? Am I going to look at the verses and be like, well, maybe I've gotten that verse on something like My Name Is My Name, for example, or even maybe something in the earlier Clips days. That's a possibility, but I haven't gotten there yet. So I'm only looking at this as at face value. I think that he's been at the forefront of some of the most iconic rap albums of all time. You look at the OG Clips catalogs, you look at something like Daytona, for example. Those are all-time classics within the genre. He's battle-tested as a rapper as well.
He literally won against the biggest rapper in the world. He won a battle versus Drake. That's huge.
Even his recent form with It's Almost Dry, I'm going back to that album and I'm like, you know what? That's a serious project. that is a very serious project. All in all, I have him in the amazing category. I do.
Easily in the amazing.
I think he's a top 50 rapper of all time, and you and I had him in that list as well. So
we did. I think he has one of the most menacing deliveries and just the conviction behind his voice. You go to songs like Just So You Remember, songs like The Games We Play, and he's going to leave you believing everything that he's saying.
Or even something like an Unbelievable, or like, anyways, I could go on.
Yeah,
and on
but yeah,
with
and
Pusha
also
records.
classic albums was part of hip hop moments like Runaway and Mercy. Like this guy has really been
At the forefront for a lot of
forefront for a lot of important shit. But next up, Trippie Redd. Listen, man, when we relive memories from the SoundCloud days, you know, I hold Trippie in a special place because the Love Letter to You series, they were starting to bubble up around that time, and Trippie was proving himself to be a super versatile artist who, you know, had a lot of intention behind the music. But
he was a very interesting artist when he first popped onto the scene, because people were asking, like, well, do you consider maybe Trippie more of a rapper or more of a singer? Like, where does he really lie? And I feel like when you really pay attention to Trippie Redd, it's such an interesting skill set. I just feel like over the years,
he lost the mojo.
I don't think he's lost the mojo. I feel like he stayed in one place with his projects.
No, because he's been trying about like the rock albums with like Travis Barker.
Oh, yes,
like...
I understand as of now. Maybe you're right in that sense. I just think that overall, like when you look at Trippie Redd, I think there was a lot more potential for him. I think like, and I don't know how. Like, I feel like that's maybe unfair to say, but if you look at Trippie artist as an artist solely, and you put away the catalog, bro, that's like a dream archetype for any fucking artist. An incredible singer when it comes to his autotune usage. Maybe not like live vocalist, but when it comes to his usage of autotune, super well done all the time. He's able to get into his melodic bag. He's able to be a conscious rapper as well. He's able to make hits. So
I don't know about like conscious. Like I don't know if we could call him a conscious rapper. We call Joey Badass a conscious rapper.
For example,
but
like look at a record like Taking a Walk, for example. Like that has super conscious writing with
there's
substance.
There's some substance.
It's simplistic, but what I'm saying is that it's still there.
Maybe he's a good rapper to me. Nothing more than that.
I was considering mid as well.
Even mid?
I was considering mid.
You can even go mid. I don't mind. I think that he's really definitely taken. He's taking a foot off of the gas pedal. That's for sure.
I would go mid with Trippie Redd.
You want to go mid? I'm okay with the mid rating for Trippie. Next up, though, we have an absolute fucking legend. We have DMX, a man who really put his whole chest into every single word that he rapped. When we're talking about mic presence and being able to captivate an audience, every time this guy got on the mic, the energy was turned up to fucking level 100. He was always charged up, from the barking to just the menacing, aggressive rawness of the vocals he brought to the table. One of the only rappers in hip-hop history that was able to drop 2 classic albums in the same year, which is so valuable when you're thinking about just someone catching a wind and being able to be so dominant for a short period of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, bro, like, just like fucking Chaz Michaels is figure skating, DMX is hardcore hip-hop, bro. I'm sorry. There's no fucking debate.
It's perfect.
There's no debate.
It's the perfect rating for DMX. It is the perfect
You want to give the perfect rating, even though the catalog towards the latter end wasn't...
Yeah, but we had this discussion with Eminem, right?
Because the thing is, too, is that I believe we had, let's say, someone like a Drake and a J. Cole in the amazing category, but they're higher on an all-time list. So that for that reason, it's like there's a bit of hypocrisy there if we're to put the DMX in a perfect category. That's how I'm looking at it.
Do you think there's a bit of hypocrisy there?
I think so.
Yeah, that's why the top 50 lists kind of fuck you at a certain
point.
Because
you always have to think back to them.
You always have to think about 15 different episodes.
Realistically, like I don't want to like. He had such a legendary career. You know,
that's what I'm trying to say.
It's a dream career. People dream of having a DMX like
You'll never
career.
have it.
I mean, I know that like, you know, the label situation, like business side of things, it wasn't the best for him, unfortunately. But just in terms of like the musical output and what he meant to hip hop, second to none. But I think we'll put him in the amazing.
All right, put him in the amazing. All right, let's keep going on with this. Earl Sweatshirt. All right, so this is a lot of people in the community's favorite rapper. And I've been seeing that a lot more as of late, especially. People have been talking about Earl being one of their favorite and best of the 2010s decade, and it's just a slick line, you know, rhyme schemes. And you want to talk about conscious rap? There's full of examples of that all over his catalog, all the way from, let's say, I don't like shit, to like something, you know, there's just so much within his catalog to be able to analyze. So let me ask you this. Does the flow and the cadence and mic presence take anything off of this?
It does. I think that like his tone doesn't change as much on tracks as much as I'd like it to. I think that you could say that, you know, he makes up for it with the multi-layered bars and like with his creative, abstract lyricism that he obviously inherited from an MF Doom. Ultimately, though, I think that Earl has a very, very special catalog. While he might not have what the culture would deem a classic album, he has fantastic projects, from some rap songs to Voir Dire to I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside. Fantastic projects that, again, maybe are not classics, but still really solid. But I do think the track presence, like you were asking me, it does take a toll.
It does.
I want to put Earl as a great rapper, ultimately.
So hold on, because I'm kind of looking at this and I'm like, I could see why people consider him on the same level as a J.I.D. or someone like a Joey Badass, for example. I feel like
it's not about how some people could consider it. It's about me and you here.
But
to you, is Earl Sweatshirt on that level? That's the question at hand.
Kind of. I do think so.
You don't seem confident.
I do,
though.
because it's a fine line. I agree with you though. It's like maybe the mic presence, but the catalog is near flawless.
But the mic presence is so important.
The
way you carry yourself.
Yes, but
is so important.
everyone has like a blemish or a flaw with it. Obviously, for him, it's the mic presence, at least in our opinion. But I really do think he's on the same level as a Joey and a J.I.D. I think in the tier list for what we're doing today, like he's up there in that tier list for sure.
I think bar for bar, he's on their level. I just don't think
maybe even better low key.
Yeah, you can make that argument for sure.
Like I want to go amazing, but Earl's an amazing rapper.
We can go with amazing. I think even when you look at like modern alternative hip hop, like he's really
one of the best ever.
One of the leaders of that. So yeah, I'm okay with that. Next up, YB,
the most overrated rapper of all time, according to Luca Guarini.
Yeah, man. I mean, the equivalent to the loudest guy in the room, right? Always dropping projects. Mic presence always seems a bit uncalculated. It sounds like he's ranting, like he's coming in with these overtly aggressive cadences, and it's honestly hard to listen to a lot of the time.
For sure, he's definitely not someone that you want to spin an album from. Going to something like Sincerely Control, which was actually maybe a well-received project from like some YB fans, low-key. People liked it, even for me. Like, I'm not going through that again. I'm sorry. There's no way that I'm listening to an hour and 10 minutes of fucking YB, and I'll give you my exact example. As you said before, like, it sounds like ranting most of the time. Or if he gets into his auto-crooning bag, it sounds like he's crying and that he can't even control his own auto-tune.
Unless we're talking about, like, What's Your Name or a song like Untouchable. Like, there's those rare instances where his melodic...
Yeah, but the problem is that, that's one song maybe out of a fucking 1,000 that he drops in a 365.
Yeah.
That's the big problem, is that the consistency has been absolutely horrible.
It's the quality control,
Absolutely.
right? He has the work ethic of a Lil Wayne, but where's the quality control?
For sure, there's no quality control on what he's putting out. I think that he should have taken time with more albums. Obviously, maybe you could say that it was a different situation for him and that he was, he was in his world and, it helped him do things. But at the end of the day, it's not going to escape it for me. It's going to mid for sure. YB's a mid rapper.
Easily mid, even could go into bad for me. I said that he's like the worst mainstream rapper in the game, and I do want to say this. I understand why his fan base loves him. He's able to be super vulnerable and connect with them. Often giving you like these emotionally charged performances. So I appreciate just the bluesiness of YB and like how solid he could be at times. But overall, he's mid, bro. He's just not able to keep it up. But next up,
ScHoolboy Q.
ScHoolboy Q, man.
How's Blue Lips sitting with you?
It's fucking aging
Album of the
beautifully.
year, still.
Album of the year at the time of this recording, because we are recording this early in 2024. But that being said, I think he's definitely one of the best gangster rappers of his era, without a doubt.
I think it's... Do you think it's a bit criminal to call ScHoolboy Q a gangster rapper, like only like solely at this point, just for how much he's touched within his catalog?
But that's kind of been the approach for most
albums.
albums.
I get what you're saying. It's just that like if you look at something like
the same way you're
Crash
gonna call Future a trap artist. Like I think it's safe to say that you can call ScHoolboy Q a gangster
I just feel
rapper.
like he's brought in so much different flavor and so many different production styles and writing styles into his catalog that it's hard to box him in. Example, like look at him and a Wiz Khalifa, right? Wiz Khalifa obviously popped off a bit earlier, but they came up kind of at a similar time, more or less. And to be able to see the evolution of a ScHoolboy Q, and in comparison to, let's say, a Wiz Khalifa, it's night and fucking day. And maybe 10 years ago, you would have looked at that situation and you'd have been like, are you guys fucking crazy? Like, you know where Wiz is going, one of the biggest rappers in the game. But I feel like Q has just aged so well when it comes to his bars and when it comes to his catalog. Does not have a single bad project within his catalog as well. Has a great mixtape catalog too. I think when you look at his skill set and how vivid he can get with storytelling, with example, like let's say a Groovy Tony, for example, or even going to something like a Gangsta Gangsta and getting that raw energy out of Q in the mic presence, one of the best of the 2010s. I look at him on the tier list and it's automatically amazing for me, bro.
Easy.
It's
Easy
automatically
money.
amazing for me.
Easy money, not even a question. Yeah, when it comes to, again, experimental gangster rap, he really changed the game, and he's been holding it down for the West. Next up, speaking of the West, The Game.
This is interesting. Okay, so this is a big legend that we didn't put into our last tier list, and honestly, I want to have the conversation about it with you. You know, because as much as like you and I didn't like what was it, Dramatic that dropped in August of 2022, that was fucking bloated, and that definitely didn't have anything. But I want to say this about the game. He actually has a solid catalog.
Pretty solid, man. You look at the documentary, you look at Doctor's Advocate, Documentary 2,
Red Album,
Jesus Piece. He's got some dope mixtapes too. I think that when you look at the game, he was sort of deemed like the West Coast savior back in the early 2000s. He was sort of handed that torch from Dr. Dre in some regard. And while I do think that, you know, when you look at the game, there's easy flaws to take away, like the antics and the Dr. Dre name drops and, you know, him sort of like trying too hard to play into controversy at times. This guy is a fucking lethal spitter, bro. This is a guy who will drop 15-minute diss tracks against the whole crew like he did against G-Unit on 300 Bars and Running. Like, this is a guy who you don't want to fucking mess with.
Always a fantastic year for production as well. I feel like that's been a very, very big asset for the game. Like, he's been able to work with so many different types of producers, even, you know, just aside, like fucking Dr. Dre, like example, like looking at like a Just Blaze and the catalog that they have together. He's a fantastic rapper. He's amazing.
Amazing rapper for the game. Absolutely. Next up,
Destroy Lonely. So
another opium soldier in the mix.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
So we're putting him over Ken or same level?
Same level for sure.
Same level?
Absolutely.
What makes him on the same level? Do you feel like maybe he needs more time to be able to develop, or do you think that overall, like, you know, it's just a product of the music and like your personal opinion on it?
Last album was super bloated. I think that I only like No Stylist was same like Ken. I think he's only made one good project. He's someone else who I think is still trying to carve out his own identity. You definitely hear a lot of flows that sound similar to a Cardi or an Uzi or a Chief Keef. So yeah, and honestly, it's like I feel like as long as Cardi is dominant, and as long as Lone and Ken are making music that's within that same world and like realm and style, they're always going to be slightly in a shadow, and they're always going to be compared to him.
That's very true.
And as of right now, I feel like there is a big gap between a Cardi and a Lone.
Oh, it's fucking huge.
So yeah, I think mid is fair. Again, I wouldn't be surprised in a couple of years if Lone and Ken move up into like the good tier.
Maybe even
I wouldn't
great,
be surprised.
depending on what they do.
Yeah, it's possible.
It's very possible, but I think for now, mid is definitely a good rating for them. Let's go on to Mask The Slump God. Excuse me. So
interesting. Interesting with Ski Mask, because I don't know where you're going with it.
I don't know. I went safe and I put good. I went safe and I put good.
I did the same.
Okay, because the catalog is not developed enough. I look at something like Stokely, and yeah, while it's a good project, like
he's always giving you like riddles in his songs.
But I fuck with
it's
that.
Always like it's like an MF Doom style in the sense of like it's that free associative rhyming where it's like they feel me like I'm Braille. She wet like a whale. It's like one line to the next doesn't really like connect that well.
But I appreciate that writing style from him. And regardless,
it's different. But that being said, one of the most off-kilter dynamic flows that I've heard in the last I don't know how many years.
It's incredible.
His flow game is unmatched.
It's so serious, and the speeds at which he could rap at, and his ability to also get onto different tracks. Like looking at, let's say, at Costa Rica, for example, he had arguably the best fucking performance on that entire song. He's able to wipe some of your favorite rappers without a doubt. I just think that due to the catalog really not being developed whatsoever and having one good project in there, and I think Great is pushing it for that project as well, it's hard to be able to put him in a great category, you know? So I went with good with
I think good for Ski Mask is the right rating, but I do love his originality as an artist.
Okay, how about 6ix9ine?
Yeah.
What about 6ix9ine? Because I think I already know where you're going with this. He's a bad rapper for sure.
He's a bad rapper, you know. I think that, you know, when it comes to 6ix9ine, he gained his audience, obviously, through the antics, right? It was like, oh, let's see, you know, this circus clown go absolutely wild. And, you know, he surprisingly, though, maintained buzz for an extended period of time.
He's still doing well with his streams. He's in Latin America right now doing his thing with Latin records. So his popularity has never really died down.
But it's like that musical legacy. What's that legacy really going to be?
He has no legacy.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I think from a hip hop head perspective, there is no legacy.
Yeah.
Now for him, it's probably a different conversation because let's say you and I walk into his house, he'll fucking show us plaques on the wall and be like,
"I won.
Fuck you,
I won."
Absolutely, and he doesn't give a fuck. But I think that when you look at it as far as a tier list goes, I'm not putting him anything over bad. There's
absolutely.
No way. All right, Doja Cat. Let's do Doja.
Interesting for Doja Cat because when she came into her career from the get-go, she didn't put herself in a box. Like, she was doing pop, R&B, hip hop. Literally from the jump, she was always genre fluid. My main thing with a Doja Cat is that I do like her track presence and her mic presence a lot. I think she takes a lot from Nicki Minaj. I think that she's similar to Nicki in terms of the raunchiness of the bars, in terms of having these crazy vocal inflections and being quirky with her voices when she wants to be.
Being aggressive as well.
She lacks the punchlines and the wordplay of a Nicki Minaj.
That's very true. I also think that, like, let's say looking at a Planet Her, right, which is her most iconic project up to this date, it's mostly a pop record.
Yeah.
It's mostly her getting into her melodic bag and her really extending her vocals out and having big pop records on there. So when you look at a rap tier list, it's like, do you consider that great or amazing? No, I can't. I had her in the good rating.
And yeah, she has great performances like Vegas or Attention off of the Scarlet album, which that album was more rap focused. I'll give her that. But again, like, there's not really any exceptional albums. There's no quotables from Doja. You said good rating?
I said good.
I agree with the good rating. I mean, even could go down to mid. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I think she is a good rapper though.
Yeah, I think she's good at best. But next up, Freddie Gibbs.
Monster.
I think he's been, I was thinking about this, probably the most consistent in-form rapper from 2018 till now. 2018 Fetty, 2019 Bandana, 2020 Alfredo, 2021 he hits you with that Vice Lord poetry track, the remix of Champagne Poetry, and absolutely bodies that beat. And then 2022, you get Sold Separately.
I love that album. I still go back all the time. I really do. Listen, I think when you look at Freddie Gibbs, he was, I'm not sure if he cracked my top 50. I think he had just made it, if I'm not mistaken.
I fucked up on my list. I want to go on record and say that. When I didn't put Freddie Gibbs in my list, when I was looking back at that list, I'm like, I fucked up leaving him out of this
Freddie's a top
list.
50 rapper of all time.
Absolutely.
I think what Freddie's done for hip-hop and like the legacy that he's left behind and just what he's been able to do, and even his projects with Madlib and, you know, The Alchemist, those are arguably their best. Those legendary top 10 producers of all time. Uncle Al and Madlib are two guys that you could say that are top 10 producers of all time. Arguably, their best projects have came out of fucking Freddie Gibbs. Arguably.
Well,
Mad Villainy, obviously. But I'm saying arguably, though.
Arguably, yeah.
For sure.
I would say that. And I think that, you know, when you look at, like, Freddie and why he's been underappreciated, maybe it's because when he came up in the 2010s, you know, he didn't have the major label backing of a Wale or a Big Sean or, you know, some of these guys that did get more flowers and more praise. And I feel like it would have been a different ball game if he maybe did. And I want to say this, again, his ability to lock into a flow or a rhyme pattern, like, he's like the Bruce Willis of the rap game, bro. He's unbreakable. You can't fucking, once he's in a mode, bro, you cannot fuck with him, bro.
Absolutely.
And I think that, yeah, like you said, when he connects with just one producer, and it's a producer of the echelon of a Madlib, it's over.
It's game over.
Album of the year in the books. But Freddie Gibbs, amazing rapper, man. Absolutely. Next up, Lil Nas X, someone who's definitely, I feel like, has made music with the incentive of drawing a lot of attention, getting eyes on him, going with things that are going to stir up the pot and polarize people. And when I look upon it, you know, he has the one album, Montero, which is a big pop rap album. It feels a little bit generic to me, and I feel like when I'm looking at Lil Nas X, there's not that much that I could pick out and be like, okay, like, he's really talented in this area, really talented in that area. Like, I have a hard time really giving him points for different criteria.
I agree with you. I think when you look at the catalog, it's underdeveloped. Like you said, Montero's extremely generic. His pop records are that like, you know, like when I'm looking at an Old Town Road, how the fuck am I going to judge that properly? Like, those are gimmick records. Those are genuinely gimmick records. And that's the problem, is that at the end of the day, maybe he does have the capability to get a bit more, you know, deeper with his lyrics, or, you know, try out different, you know, subgenres of hip-hop, or bring it in. I think we all know where he's going with his career, and I think he knows at the end of the day, and he's unapologetic about it. And that's fine, but at the end of the day, on this tier list, I'm going with mid with it. Maybe even bad, low-key. Is he on 6ix9ine level? That's the problem.
I think we can go bad. I mean, even listening back through, I was, you know, going through Montero, and I'm like, this is all bubblegum. Like, the guy is literally just hit hunting the entire album. He's just trying to see what's gonna stick. Yeah, I would go with bad. What do you think?
Yeah, bad rating.
All right, next up, Anderson .Paak, and this is another interesting one, just because I feel like most Anderson fans would agree that he does strive more as a singer, vocalist, instrumentalist. But as a rapper, to me, he's still a dope MC. I feel like
The season
he's sort
carried
of
me.
yeah. I feel like he sort of like fit into like that Nate Dogg or like Warren G role where it's like you get him on a hook or you get him like for a couple of fly verses. He could really give you that slick talk and really carry himself.
And
well.
all of his albums, except for maybe Ventura, have been extremely hip hop prominent. You look at something like an Oxnard or a Malibu, for example. You have full of records on there that have full of rapping performances and great verses at that as well. But like you said, I think that we all could agree that it's going the other way. You know, like I feel like he is a better R&B artist and a better soul artist than he is, let's say, a rapper.
But I love the smooth cadences.
Absolutely,
though.
I'm going with great though. He is
Great,
a great rapper.
yeah, I think great is fair.
I think great is definitely fair for Anderson because if you look at some of the strongest projects within,
They're rap
I think it's an iconic catalog. I think Anderson has an iconic catalog. Most of those projects are extremely hip hop prominent. So Anderson's getting the great rating. Let's keep going on with this Method Man. All right, man. So listen, I know you and I had the conversations about Meth. And going back to the tier list that we did, we put Drake and J. Cole in the amazing. And I guess that's
no, he doesn't have a classic solo album. I'm not putting Method Man in the perfect. I can't do that. Okay. Could you dispute that or no?
Yeah.
Think about it, because even versus a Ghostface Killer or Raekwon, like they have their solo classics. Tycho's a great album. It's not a classic album.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people would look at you funny for that. Maybe even guys from the 90s would look at you different.
It doesn't have that reputation the way that an Only Built for Cuban Links does, or a way that even a Liquid Swords does.
Or even an Iron Man.
I'm telling you, it doesn't have that reputation.
Maybe not. You're right. I would just argue that he's arguably the most skilled member of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Not in my opinion, but I could get behind the argument.
That's my
opinion.
Cadence-wise, and even like the way that he does his setup rhymes, it's really stupid at the end of the day. And his longevity is still going great to this day. You look at something like, let's say, Lemon from, Conway the Machine. That's an all-time verse for me.
The whole CNN wordplay, he's so good at that.
It's so stupid.
Of like playing with homophones and twisting words to mean different things.
That's why he's such a unique rap. Like that's fuck.
Yeah.
All right, I guess so. I guess going to the amazing.
Amazing for Meth.
Absolutely.
Next up, French Montana. Definitely one of the more clowned rappers of this generation.
What a way to start off this segment.
It's true, though. That's what the reputation is. And I think that like the idea of him being an absolutely trash rapper with no skills whatsoever, I think that's a bit of a reach. I think that when you go back to some of the old Coke Boys mixtapes, he's able to carry himself. He's able to get by. I don't think he's ever really impressed me on a record, to be honest with you. But my thing, when I listen to French Montana, even going through some of his projects, it's like...
It feels plastic. It feels extremely plastic.
He's the guy you listen to because you're trying to get to that Drake verse. Or you're trying to get to that Kodak Black verse.
That's very true.
You know what I mean?
Like an example on something like a Lockjaw, like we were talking about Kodak. That's a great record. And that's a great performance from him.
It is.
I really fuck with that. So it's not to say like I don't think he's Lil Nas X or like fucking 6ix9ine level.
I think he's a mid rapper.
I think he's a mid rapper.
All right,
for sure.
Let's keep on going. Next up, Cordae. He had a beautiful come up into the game. Him responding to 1985 with his track, and then earning the respect from Cole and a lot of hip hop fans worldwide, and then bringing that into a great fucking debut album with The Lost Boy, which I think is one of the best debut albums of the last 5 years. Cordae's proven that he's cut from that cloth, but he could also rap over trap beats and absolutely annihilate those as well.
I just want to see where he's going to go with his next project.
Yes, it's been some time.
Absolutely.
It feels like it's been some time since we've heard Cordae.
That's why I had him in the great rating.
Yeah.
I had him in the great. I think that there's obviously still some time to prove to get that up to like the J.I.D. and to be able to get that up to like the Freddie Gibbs, but I think great rating for Cordae. But let's go on to Rakim.
This is perfect.
Yeah,
this
perfect
is the
rapper.
first perfect of the day.
Absolutely. That's going to go directly to Rakim.
Absolutely.
I think you can't even dispute it.
You can dispute it just because, you maybe wouldn't have an Illmatic and you wouldn't have rappers have that blueprint to be able to flow the way that they do and form their rhyme schemes the way they do without Rakim. And not only that, but even looking at Paid in Full and Follow the Leader, classic albums. And I think that it was cool to have Rakim carry out his competitive spirit all throughout his career.
For sure.
And there was truly a paradigm shift after he came out and did what he did. So, yeah, we've spoken about him before. He was in our top 50 list, high up as well. Perfect rapper. And did a lot of what he did without cursing, which is impressive. But Macklemore.
All right.
He dropped 2 bangers, Can't Hold Us, Thrift Shop in 2012. He robbed the Grammy from Kendrick Lamar. And to me, that's about as far as the musical legacy goes.
For sure. And then he fucked off with everything else.
His latest projects, I've checked them out, like Gemini or Ben.
They're stale in sound, man. The guy's stuck.
Can't do it.
No, not in my opinion. Well, I think maybe he's for some people, and people are definitely, I think his fan base is enjoying the music. But when I look at this tier list, he's going into the bad category. He's a bad rapper.
Yeah, I think he is a bad rapper. Even looking on like early on in his career, he had an album. I think it was called "The Language of My World" or something, and it's just like it's try hard like boom bap raps, and it's just like. You could tell that like he was really trying to fit himself into different lanes throughout his career, and nothing ever really gelled
until he got to the heist, and then that took off on the radio and stuff like that.
I think he's a bad rapper, bro.
Absolutely,
cringe bars all throughout. But next up,
Common.
Yes.
So, are you giving him the same treatment as you did with DMX? Is that what you're doing?
Another amazing rapper. Yeah, I
think
don't think he has a perfect catalog. I think that I respect him so much because when you think of conscious hip hop, when you think of someone that never played the industry politics game, really stayed true to his sound and didn't give a fuck about the radio, that's Common. And I think that when you're looking at classic records, you have the Bees of the world, you have the Like Water for Chocolates, you have the Resurrections, like someone that, again, when it comes to jazzy backdrops, soulful backdrops, he's one of the best. And I think even articulation-wise, pronunciation, always so clear.
Absolutely. He's so clear-cut with his rhymes, and it's almost like he's slicing through any single production that you put in front of him. And, he's been able to rap over J Dilla beats. He's been able to do Kanye production. He's just so versatile also with who he's able to link up with, and I think that adds points as well. Common's a fucking legend, and he's going into the amazing category.
Easy.
But Danny Brown.
This is interesting.
This one's interesting.
It's like, is he a great or amazing? That's
he's amazing.
He's amazing.
Well, I'm looking at ScHoolboy Q in the same category, and I'm looking.
We have a lot of amazings in today's
of course,
tier list.
because I feel like we have a lot of those quality rappers that are some of the favorites for, let's say, you and I. But
true,
are they top 10 or top 15 rappers of all time?
No.
Probably not. Even looking at, let's say, someone like a Rakim, I think that he's maybe the only guy on this list that's going to get a perfect rating because it's fucking Rakim.
Yeah.
I don't think Danny Brown or a Common is a Rakim level. That's like GOAT status. That's hard. That's really hard to touch. The only one that I could argue maybe gets there is DMX. Or maybe even someone else on this list, low-key, that's probably going to be coming up very
later,
soon.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think Danny Brown's done his thing. As far as like experimental industrial hip-hop and just getting into alternative hip-hop as well. Classic projects like Atrocity Exhibition, even looking at something like a 30 or even a 40 now. His catalog has been aging with grace. He has such a unique flow and cadence and voice for hip-hop as well. And it just turned everything on its back. Even when you get him on certain posse cuts or you get him with other rappers, he just brings the best out of everyone because when Danny Brown's on a track, you need to bring your A game with Danny, and he's going to fucking destroy you.
I mean, yeah, I don't think he's ever been the guy to really do like lyrical gymnastics the way that a Method Man would.
It's just that he grabs the attention from the track. You have to do more because Danny Brown's going to come, and just his natural ability.
Animated.
It's over.
Yeah.
Like, he arguably has one of the best track presences that hip-hop has ever seen. So it's hard to put Danny at anything less than amazing.
And a great songwriter, too. Like, he's always put his life under the microscope and been super open. And again,
incredible.
Just his sense of humor is one of one. His style, his voice, very unique. So, yeah, I think amazing is fair. And like you said, solid catalog, too. But next up, Bhad Babie. The idea that the Catch Me Outside girl from Dr. Phil was able to get a major record label deal with Atlantic and be able to actually
be successful,
have features from Snoop Dogg, Tory Lanez, and Cordae. It's like industry plant, like so easily.
For sure.
So easily.
This
is as easy as you could cite it, bro.
They saw what was going on online, and they were like, fuck it, let's put her on a rap record.
From one meme to fucking rap signee to a major label. Like, wow.
Bad category, though.
Easy.
Bad, so easy.
She literally says that she's the voice of her generation on one of her songs. I was going through it today, and I'm like, wow.
Oh, you had the patience to go through her catalog?
I went through some of her shit. Yeah, I wanted to give her time of day.
Shit.
But she can't put together a rhyme scheme. She can't.
Well, no kidding. It's fucking Bhad Babie.
Yeah, she's bad. No pun intended.
No pun intended. Okay, Lupe Fiasco.
He might be the best wordsmith in hip-hop history. He might be.
Are you?
He might be.
Are you looking at the perfect category?
Lasers. You know? I will say this, though.
It's so rough, though.
I think that like Lupe's managed to juggle technicality, message, and production to a point where it's like, yes, he's super lyrical, but it's always been
enjoyable.
It's always been like palatable.
Absolutely.
Even though it was always super lyrical.
Like listening to a mural, like you're locked into that song, even if it's like 7 minutes long and you have to try and picture a whole
or a Precious Things or a King Nas.
Yeah, or a wave file.
Yeah.
There's just so many different records that you could go through. It's hard not to put him in perfect, Lou. It's hard.
It is hard, but again, it goes against their all-time list, bro. It really does.
I had him up there. I had him high. Well, you and I had him high. It was between the 10 to 20 range for Lupe.
Yeah, but again, it's like.
Yeah, it's true. All right, fine.
But,
Fine.
but like I said,
Fine.
a perfect
But-
career. But does he not have his missteps? He kind of does.
Well, yeah, lasers. I know everyone doesn't fuck with lasers. Who likes lasers? He doesn't even
Food
fuck
and
with
Liquor too was all right.
Yeah, but you have the Tattoo and Youths, man. You
I know.
have classic projects in there as well.
I know it's tough, but ultimately, I want to give him the same treatment we're giving everybody else.
Okay, yeah, I could see it. I could see him on the same level as a Common or a DMX.
I think it's fair for the
All right,
amazing.
let's go on to Yuno Miles. The GOAT.
I mean, listen, yeah, I think he's truly in the 1% of rappers and of artists generally of all time.
What's
when it comes
the best
to
asset that he has in his arsenal? Is it his ability to be able to craft beautiful storytelling tracks? Is it his ability to be able to put together these rhyme schemes and these chain rhyme schemes that left you, absolutely mesmerized? Like, what really is it about Yuno Miles that gets you?
I think it's the quintuple entendres for sure. I think it's the breath control. I think it's his octave range as a singer. I mean, wipes away Adele and the Celine Dions of the world. And when I look at, projects like a Yuno Certified Trash Classic, when I look at Yuno I Can't Rap, magnum opus.
Classic.
I think he has to go in the perfect. And like you were saying, there's a rapper that might come up soon that might be on the level of a Rakim. I think we have to give it to Yuno Miles.
Oh, you see, I think he's too good for that, and I think he's so good that he has to go into the bad. He's so good.
He's got to go perfect. Come on, bro. This guy has drawn masterpiece after masterpiece. No? You don't want to do it? I want to do it.
When my children rewatch these videos when I get older, enough of the gags. When they watch these episodes, and they're gonna see that Yuno Miles on the same levels as Rakim, like you can't come back from
pure
that.
disrespect.
It's disrespect.
But you know what? We should have.
Did you actually come here to try and convince me to put him into perfect?
We should have put him in perfect and let everybody freak out in the fucking comment section. That would have been hilarious.
No, he's bad.
He's
a bad rapper.
He's got a project called Knock Knock. It's Santa Bitch Part 2.
You know what? Fire though. He's done his career. He's done it the way that he
I
has
tried, if you're watching this, I tried to give you your flowers. Next up, though, Busta Rhymes, an absolute beast on the microphone. I feel like I've never seen him live, but whenever I watch live performances,
sets or something like that.
Super energetic, bro.
Super energetic. Always incredible. He's
Fantastic
definitely
projects
up there.
too.
But I feel like we're gonna give him the same love as we did for Common and as we did, let's say, for the others, and he's gonna go into the amazing category.
Yep.
I don't think it's Rakim level, if I'm being
It's
honest
not.
with you.
It's not.
But okay, G-Eazy. Someone that came up in the 2010s through frat rap, definitely stole the hearts of millions of women. Came through and did the comb over, leather jacket, biker sort of aesthetic for, hip hop, which is interesting. Never was really done before like that.
The guy who's got a lot of bars about fucking your girlfriend, it's that kind of that kind of a style.
Yeah, Tumblr girls.
Yeah.
He's into the Tumblr girls.
I just feel like the music's always felt a bit bland to me. It's always lacked a bit of personality. It's
chalky.
It's very he's very by the book as a rapper.
Plays it safe.
Yeah, plays it safe. He's bad.
He's a
bad
bad
rapper. Yeah.
G-Eazy's definitely a bad rapper.
Very commercially successful. The guy has a lot of hits. I got to give him credit there. It's like a 6ix9ine situation where it's like, you know what? 6ix9ine doesn't care about being on an all-time list. Like that guy just wanted to fucking make his money and make hit records. And I'm not saying G-Eazy has that same mindset. I think that he does care about his art, but
yeah,
just
you wouldn't go mid with G-Eazy. It's tough.
I don't know, man.
Bhad Babie and 6ix9ine level and Miles level, that's tough. That's a tough category to be in.
It is. Okay, let's go, man. You're right.
That's a tough category.
We're comparing him well. He's next to. Yeah, I agree.
That's a tough category to be in, bro. Fuck. All right.
Let's get back to it though. Next up, we have LL Cool J.
How was it, by the way, revisiting the catalog?
It was fun, bro. It was definitely enjoyable.
Favorite project?
I would have to say probably Mama Said Knock You Out is up there.
1990 release, right?
Yeah, that was 1990. That was a big comeback moment for him.
How about Bigger and Deffer?
Bigger and Deffer was really high quality.
Definitely up there as well. I'm going through his catalog. The problem is that he has a lot of bloat too.
He does have a lot of bloat, but I think he deserves more credit for being kind of the first superstar in hip hop. Radio, that album, which it has a lot of bars about I'm the leader of the show, keeping you on the go. It's like that grandfather style of rap, but he did evolve since then. And I do have to give him credit because
he's only 56, which is
I think that was the first platinum album, Radio, in '85.
Which one was that, Radio?
Yeah,
it was. It was the first.
It was, yeah, it was huge. Rick Rubin was behind that, but I think that we have to give him credit because he was the prototype for
rap
a
superstar.
Drake type of like artist, where it's like you had the streets on lock, but you also had a big female fan base too.
And you had the masses all coming together for one. Well, I do agree with you. Amazing.
I don't know about amazing. Like,
yeah,
I know he's a legend, and like accomplishments aside, and like him being a pioneer aside, just musically speaking, I want to go great.
I want to go
It
great
might be
as
a
well.
hot take.
I think it is a hot take, but at the end of the day, I'm looking at, let's say, a Busta Rhymes and a Common. He's not like
I don't think he's rapping on those levels,
No, he's
or
not.
has the projects of those levels.
Like I was saying, you start getting to albums like GOAT and certain other ones after that, and it's not that I feel like they're bad or lacking. It's just whatever. I could do without them,
Yeah, I have to give him credit for being a serious battle rapper too. He had some iconic battles with Cannabis and Cool Mo D. So credit to LL Cool J for being a rapper who touched a lot of different areas of the genre and had a huge impact. But yeah,
For sure.
great rapper. Next up, Boldy James. I want to give Boldy the great rating as well. I think he's amazing.
I do as well. I think great rating. I think a great rating for Boldy is really good. At the end of the day, like, yes, you have the fair exchanges. You have his Mango and McNichols. You have the Price of Tea in China. You have a Bo Jackson. You have a Tecmo Bo. You have a lot of like solid projects in there, and some of them that we maybe consider flawless, to be honest with you, in something like a Manger. But the same conversation we had for Earl applies here.
Yeah.
The mic presence never really changed.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think that at a certain point, when you look at, let's say, certain rappers that are above, like a Freddie Gibbs, a J.I.D., certain artists of a certain pedigree, they've done a lot more dynamically on the mic.
Absolutely.
As far as mic presence
and
goes.
that
in
matters when you're
projects, for
comparing
sure.
people and you're ranking them. Without a doubt, you got to look at how do they sort of compare as an overall artist and rapper. So I agree with you. I think that Boldy has a sick catalog, but like you said, I think he's a great rapper. But next up, we got Gucci Mane, hip hop legend, founding father of trap music,
Classic projects.
but
The State versus Rajiv Davis. I love that project.
it's a sick album, yeah. But
It really is.
think about how many other albums he has in the catalog and how many of those are great.
Yeah, but it's gotten so excessive to the point where you could pass it. Let's take a Lil Wayne situation. At least in my opinion.
Don't go as far to say that Wayne and Gucci are like catalog for catalog. They can fuck with each other.
When did I say that? I just said, no, I did not say that. I said that the output has been so fucking impeccable that it's like, I don't care. It's not like a YB thing where it's like, oh, well, he didn't last long enough to be able to like release that much music. Nah, bro. Like, this guy was locked in from 2006 to like probably 2018.
So where are you going with this? Let's cut the shit. Where are you going?
I have a hot take. I went great with Gucci Mane. I think he's a great rapper. The mic presence is fire. He always had fantastic coke bars. Always a great ear for selection.
So many bad mixtapes and albums, though. So many. But again, there's that side of him being as much of a
Influential,
pioneer.
yeah, for sure.
So whatever. We can go great if you want to go great. I don't mind budging.
You don't mind budging for
I
it?
don't mind. Let's keep on going.
You know what? Hold
What?
on. Let me
You're about to go good?
It's because like I got Doja Cat in good. I got Ski Mask in good. I think he's definitely a better rapper than Jack Harlow. No way. He's going great.
All right, fair
is going
enough.
great. All right,
Next
let's
up,
keep going.
Prodigy. I mean, listen, even after giving us Shook Ones Part 2 and giving us Quiet Storm and giving us classic albums like The Infamous and Hell on Earth and being one half of one of the best rap duos of all time, I still feel like Prodigy does not get his flowers.
Oh, absolutely.
He is truly one of the greatest rappers to ever touch a microphone, and I feel like every time he got on the mic, it was like he was passing us his glasses and making us see the streets of Queens through his lens.
Yeah, some of the realest writing you'll ever find within the hip hop genre. Really go through The Infamous and like you'll really understand like what this guy was on and like how he was so interesting too as a character and as a person and a human being.
He was like a professional shit talker,
but not only that, but he had so much wisdom and had so much guidance to offer. I've watched so many Prodigy interviews and it was always mesmerizing to see. And what's interesting is that when you watch his interviews, it's kind of like a Nipsey Hussle situation where it's like the interviews directly translate into the raps. So you know that there's no disconnect. You know what you're getting. It's 100% authenticity. Bro, I went perfect. With fucking Prodigy. I know that's a hot take, but I think he is truly one of the best.
He is. Again, it goes against us not giving it to a DMX or a Lupe Fiasco. I will say this. He doesn't get enough love for, like, having a solo classic album. Like, I was going back to HNIC, and that album is fucking incredible. Looking at songs like Genesis off of there and so much more. Even his work as a producer goes overlooked. Like, people give Havoc a lot of the love, but he was also a talented producer. And, like,
Yeah, so I guess I mean
Prodigy and a piano, like that's a recipe for hip hop magic. Like the double P, like it's special. But again, it's like some of his projects that followed solo wise weren't, let's say, the strongest ever. And again, if we're playing fair and we're giving the same treatment to everybody, I don't know if we could say that he's had a perfect career like a Rakim, let's say, or like we gave to an MF Doom in the other tier list. You know. So again, there's not that many blemishes.
We had Eminem in there, but
who has a lot of blemishes as well. Yeah, but I think what separated him is that he was a top 10 rapper in both of our lists, whereas
then the skill set was on a completely different level as well. The impact and the dominant run.
So I kind of want to give Prodigy the perfect too, but it's tough, bro. I don't know. What do you want to do with this?
I think amazing is fair.
Like
we had done with Common and Lupe. Yeah. It's the same situation.
It is, but definitely a top 25 rapper of all time. Great storyteller. He always kept it real. Next up, though, we have Ka, who is one of hip-hop's greatest kept secrets. I think that when you're looking at what he's done...
Honor Killed a Samurai and a lot of...
Descendants of Cain.
A lot of incredibly written projects. And when we were having the conversation about Ka and, other episodes, or even back then, I feel like you and I were talking a lot about Ka maybe in like that hip-hop Twitter 2020 sort of phase where people were really championing him and like really giving him his flowers like that. The conversations were interesting because you started to see like, is he really one of the best writers of all time? Like, is he like his pen game is so strong to that point where it's like, when I do my top 10 lyricists of all time,
he might be in there.
Is he cracking that 8 to 10 position? Maybe. It's hard because the work he's left behind is so fucking sick. Like, his catalog is filled of these records. You don't say, okay, maybe you only have Honor Killed the Samurai and then he went Ghost. No, there's projects.
There's projects.
And then there's a catalog to be able
dating
to
back to 2011. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
I think that with Ka, I mean, he's that guy you literally have to decode every single line because everything is intentional, everything is cryptic,
which is not a bad thing.
Genius concept albums as well. This guy is he's a real life like hip hop superhero. This guy's literally a firefighter, bro. Like, he's like part-time a hip-hop artist, part-time firefighter, like crazy. But keeping it to the music.
Is he actually a firefighter?
Yeah.
What?
He's literally a New York firefighter, bro.
Wow.
That's like his full-time job. I don't know if he's still doing it, but like throughout like the bulk of his career, this guy was fighting fucking fires, bro.
Shout out to Ka, really?
Yeah, bro.
Fuck.
Real-life superhero,
so,
bro.
Where are we putting him? Does that add points? Is the firefighting add points here? Fuck, what an interesting story.
Yeah, crazy. But
great.
Yeah, I think so.
No, but I don't know.
But I don't know because his pen is so fucking
I think we
killer.
have to go amazing again.
Go amazing again. So many amazings, but he has to go there. Next up, we're going to end off with an absolute hip-hop legend.
Big Daddy Kane.
Big Daddy Kane, one of the most legendary rappers from the 80s.
A hero for a lot of people.
The only tragic thing I want to say about Big Daddy Kane, because everyone knows, what he was able to do in terms of bringing in the player persona, bringing in the storytelling, advanced flows, whatever.
Even melodically, what he was able to do back then.
He had a tragic second half into his career. Like, when you reach like the 90s, the career kind of took a turn for the worst. He was in a bad label situation. He went on record saying that he put out 2 weak albums because he wanted to get out of his deal quickly, and he rushed it, and then he never really recovered at all.
Absolutely. Like, that's the thing, is that I could see Big Daddy Kane maybe going into the amazing rating for that fact, but at the end of the day, it's not Rakim level.
No.
Like, maybe if you would have had the consistency and the patience of a Rakim, then you could argue, well, okay, Rakim had the flow and had the pen game, and then Big Daddy Kane had that smooth cadence, and he had that demeanor to him, and he also had the storytelling going on. But at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Amazing. I still wanted to see that versus battle between.
So listen. This episode is so interesting, right? Because we're 2-3 years into our career, like hip hop podcasting and stuff, and this is a very different episode than the one that we originally did. I think we're gonna have to go back and do the part 1 over again with all the different rappers. But I wanted to ask you this: how did you feel about having only one person in that perfect rating, which was Rakim?
I think it's fair. That's such an elevated tier to say that someone's had a perfect career. I mean, how many people could we truly say that for? And if we were just going to give the hall pass to everybody, I mean, it would have got to maybe excessive. We did, and maybe that wasn't right in the moment.
Yeah, but it's hard to put anything besides like perfect for Eminem, for how iconic and how grandiose it is.
It is, and I think there's more arguments to be made for an Eminem versus some of these guys that we were debating putting into perfect.
So maybe do we switch it to like an S tier or like
maybe it should be titled a different a different
Because
tier
perfect is
altogether.
a hard term to like be able to
Yeah,
use.
because a lot of these guys that are in the amazing right now, like, have had the careers that most people dream of.
S
you
tier
know?
careers.
Yeah.
So I think maybe at one point we'll end up changing that perfect rating just for the sake of these tier lists. But guys, let us know where we got it right. Let us know where we got it wrong. And do we do the part 1 over again? Considering that we just did our part 2, maybe we'll do it at the end of the year or maybe in a year from now. Regardless, it does not matter. We will be revisiting it. But guys, thank you so much for watching this episode, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.